There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Oh, what's up? Welcome into episode number 59, I believe it is, of the Program Guys podcast. My name is Mason Prince. Joined with you, as always, by Mark Hall, Ryan Tyson, Patrick Hertzberger. No Matt Gann this week. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Trying to hit 1,500 subscribers by the end of the month. If you're watching on our YouTube channel right now, there's a very strong chance that you are not subscribed to the channel. We have those stats, people. We can back it up. I know you're not subscribed. Hit that button. Costs you $0. Helps us out so much. We really appreciate it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Program Guys with a Z, our Instagram, Program Guys with a Z, our Facebook page, Program Guys Podcast. However you get your podcast, that's where you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of that stuff. No Matt Gann, boys, how we living? What's the number one thing you miss most about Matt when he's not here?
Just the humor, man. He's got a biting sense of humor that none of us can replicate. It's really unfortunate because he's a terrible person. He says
words.
Bite me.
He says words that can't be taken away from him. That's for sure.
He does a lot of things before we start recording that like make us laugh, and then we go into like the initial recording laughing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I miss that. Didn't happen today.
Mark, the rivalry. The rivalry
continues.
It's not even it is so one-sided. It is so one-sided. It kills me. Here was what I was gonna say to Mason's question: is Matt's really good at coming with some kind of unique little information tidbit? And sure, they're fake every time. It's not like a real segment thing, right?
Yeah.
But when it's a real thing, he shows up to work, right? Yeah. And then he calls me an asshole or something, and I don't get it. I don't get it, man.
He's one of a kind, Matt Gann. We miss you, Matt. All right. Everybody doing good other than that? Everybody
did you guys know it's National Margarita Day? I didn't know until like 3:00.
I was told at work today it was National Margarita Day.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I wish I had margarita ingredients. I'd make one.
I feel like that's one of those things that there's 3 or 4 national margarita days.
Like it's like Dog Day.
A lot.
It's like Dog Day.
Yes.
National Dog Day.
National, Best Friend Day.
Yeah.
What is that? How come there's one of those every month?
I don't know.
It's I don't know. There's like a National Girlfriend Day, a National Wife Day, a National Significant Other Day, Valentine's Day, their birthday. They get so many of them. They get so many of them.
Dude, imagine like
caring for a person's heart. I get it.
It's really hard, man. It's really hard.
Imagine if you're like cheating though, and you got to keep up with more than one of those things.
Whoa,
that's
I got a Tiger Woods hat on right now, so topical. Like, that was probably a hard part of his life back then,
right?
Yeah,
literally.
That was probably a hard
didn't
part
know
of his
until she knew.
He's a millionaire.
That dude left a trail.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh,
but man, impossible. I couldn't manage. Cassie keeps track of my life. I couldn't keep track of other women.
No,
I guess
zero shot. There's just no way. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the bandwidth for that. No shot. You know what I do have the bandwidth for is some Oklahoma football.
Oh God,
it's some Oklahoma football. So here's to some offseason football, folks. We got some news from Longhorns athletic director Chris Del Conte. Said he plans for the Texas OU football game to remain at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, thank God, during the State Fair. But he has asked the SEC to move the game to 2:30 p.m. Central Time beginning in 2024. How we feeling?
I mean, logistically, this makes sense because SEC's big games are usually at 2:30 Central.
Correct.
Time. So, that makes sense to me. From a fan perspective, I'm torn. I've always said that I don't like the 11 a.m. I think it's too early. But then the one year that they changed it to 2:30, it was hella hot. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. I wish they started at 11 when it was a little cooler. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it depends on the weather for me.
I hate every OU game at 11 a.m. besides OU Texas. I hate because you have like the whole day of just like the festivities that is OU Texas. Like you wake up, you immediately roll to the State Fair. go to the state fair, you go to the game. No, Mark? No.
Mark
That's
is
why.
already-
That's why you're doing it wrong. That's how you're doing it wrong. You
Mark
wake
is the
up
type
at
that
Mark's
shows
house
up.
because you live close, like really close by, and you just get in by kick. And
Oh, okay.
you hit the fair another time if you want to, when it's not full of infinity people, but the fair is just like every circus you've ever been to.
Yeah, it's fair.
You know, it
Did you-
could help with the heat at 2:30 is
Oh,
having
I
the game
knew
at
we'd get
AT&T
here.
Stadium.
There it is.
And
Oh,
not in the
Jesus.
damn Cotton Bowl.
No, Pat, you're gonna
One of
lose
the best
this battle.
stadiums in the country.
Says who?
Patrick, that's just it's so wrong. It's
so
just
wrong.
the wrongest thing
I'm
you've
all
ever
for
heard.
it. I'm all for that backrest, air conditioning. Their
It's just
concessions.
the way you want like a completely different vibe for your OU Texas
Yeah.
than I do.
You very much do.
But
The
in general,
dude- The dude who preaches rowdiness,
Oh yeah.
he wants you
right.
to go to the most unrowdy place in America, and that's at Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium.
that's true.
That's true.
You do have me on that one.
Yeah.
It's pretty
but-
sterile, you know?
It is
Yeah.
sterile. 2:30, I think, is a good move, though. 11 a.m. just sucked. The heat will be more of a factor, potentially, but we've had cold OU Texas too. So you never know. I'm excited it's
you've
not
missed a
11
lot of
a.m.
them.
Very
Yeah,
There's
I
been
was
one
about-
nice OU
very
Texas in my
rare.
life.
Yeah, I was
Rather
about to
than
say.
one.
I mean,
It might
in
have been
theory,
2014.
in theory, you're right. Like it's
Yeah.
October, like everywhere else in the country, you get nice days. Not there. I don't feel like that exists.
Not
The
really
the
October.
one OU Texas they love to bring up is the one in the 80s where it was like raining and Barry Switzer was in a rain suit or whatever. That's like the one time it was below like 60 degrees at that game. It's always just brutally hot. There's no clouds ever. There's no
The-
Never any clouds.
The actual start of fall in Texas is the day after Oklahoma, Texas. Like that's just, I don't care what the calendar says, because
Mhm.
that day's hot as shit every single time. And then it starts to get all right down here.
Mhm.
But that day is
Always so.
consistently impossibly hot.
brutal.
Well, here's to more sunburns if we
Yeah.
get to 2:30.
I need SPF 50, man. That's what I'm gonna
Hey.
need.
Well, but also that 230 kick is way more about TV money
Yeah.
and viewership, right? So they're asking for it for that reason. It makes sense. It's why we moved to the SEC.
Yeah. Pat, you were gonna say
Why-
something?
You know what? Sorry. Now we have Daddy Sankey asking the question instead of whatever.
even is
Your
his
mark.
name?
Your mark.
Yeah. Yo, Mark.
Your mark or whoever it was last year too. Bowlesby.
Oh, Bill,
Bowlesby for
Bob
us.
Bowlesby.
Yeah. Bob Bowlesby.
Freaking mouth breather.
Suckers.
Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, speaking of OU Texas, the first spread came out today. We were +4. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did see that. That was whose book was that?
It was FanDuel.
FanDuel.
So
Yeah.
FanDuel dropped like certain lines for, look ahead. If you have access to +4, take it.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have to get
Exactly.
into it. Yeah. 100%. I'd take
That was what the line was OU or Texas favored by 4.
Texas favored by 4. That's interesting. That's a number. That's a number to
That's
put
a
on there.
number.
That's a number to put on there.
Man, does anyone know what the Texas offense is going to look like next year?
No.
Who's starting at quarterback and who's in the backfield accounting for the 80% of offense that Bijan Robinson was?
Dude, there are pro scouts raving about Bijan Robinson being like one of the greatest running back prospects to come out.
Yeah.
And now he's gone. And he was like your team, your offense.
Right.
So
And when he was out, Roshan Johnson was very good too.
yeah, he was.
And
He
he's
was.
gone too. And he's gone too.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate point is they just lose a lot.
Guys, we didn't we lose like 70% of our
Yeah,
offense?
I
with
think
Eric
our
Gray
backfield's
leaving?
looking similar.
So- just gonna throw that out there.
No.
Just-
We'll be fine.
Nah.
I'm always the person who's just like the wet blanket of the group.
Yeah.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. And we've had a number of guys move on defense as well. So
I think the moral of the story is like we don't know anything right now, which is fine. We'll start to figure that out as we
No
go
one
through
ever knows
spring
anything.
and- No.
Especially with that game.
I hope
No.
someone with FanDuel like posts as that line moves where it's at.
Yeah. All right. Some OU Media Day thoughts. I think we as a group decided that OU Media Day, they had that availability last week for all of the incoming freshmen and transfers that were into Norman, the early enrollees, as well as the transfers coming in. They were made available to the media, I believe last Wednesday or Thursday. And they talked to the media, and there's a lot of storylines. And I think all of us kind of picked one to kind of talk about, one that kind of piqued our interest. Mark, I do want to start with you because mine kind of ties into yours a little bit on the segue machine. So I want to start with you. What'd you take away?
Yeah, so if you tune into other OU podcasts, I'm probably one of the 50th thousand people that you've heard talking about Brent Venables' comments on the cheetah position and the 4 guys that he has that'll be taking snaps there in the spring. Just for a refresher for everyone, some guys that have played this position before for Brent are guys like Isaiah Simmons, who's a stud linebacker now for the Cardinals. Tony Jefferson played it at OU, and just last year, Deshaun White played it alongside Justin Harrington, and here and there, Jaron Kanek, who's now just playing more of a Mike position. The position is sort of a Sam backer nickel corner combination, where you might be up on the line, you might be down on the second level, you might be in the third level dropping deep. He asks a lot of these guys. I'm thinking back to specifically a handful of times Deshaun White is covering a deep third of the field. And that was a big ask of Deshaun White, but it goes to illustrate the lengths that he'll stretch his cheetah position guys, right? So he listed 4 potential options that he's looking at for the spring. That's Dasan McCullough, the transfer sophomore from Indiana. He is the presumed favorite to come in and take the position. He is 6'5", 225, and he was the subject of a question Brent was asked directly, him and his brother Day, and he had a handful of really interesting things to say about Dasan. Just talking about him physically, quote, long, athletic. His transitional movement is really good. Smart, tough, hungry, humble guy. Aren't those all the words that Brent Venables says right before he puts a guy on the field all the time? Right? That's just is what it is there. He played that Sam backer position at Indiana and made the all first team All-American freshman team last year. So definitely look out for him to play it. The next 2 were very surprising to me. We've got Peyton Bowen, obviously 5-star as a safety, 6 foot, 185. Reggie Pearson, 5'11", 200 pounds. He's a 5th-year transfer. If anyone doesn't remember, he's the guy that laid the smack on Dylan Gabriel during the bowl, or not the bowl game, but the Texas Tech game on that ridiculous trick play that we tried. Both of those guys have always played safety, and they're both a little undersized compared to everyone that I've listed so far. I mean, just the difference between McCullough and Bowen is 5 inches and 40 pounds, right? These are 2 completely different athletes. But here's something that Brent Venables said during the press conference, and he wasn't talking about Peyton Bowen specifically, but I heard it this way, is where they start may not be where they finish. Look at not even this year, but look at 2 years from now. Peyton Bowen seems like the kind of guy to me that he's getting reps at the cheetah position because, as Brent Venables said in the press conference, he knows schemes. He knows football. Like, he gets this stuff. Physically, though, there's no way that he's going to be ready to play the same kind of ball that Son McCullough is. Down the line, maybe he puts on another 15, 20 pounds, and suddenly you've got the kind of thing that Buki should have been for Oklahoma, playing up close to the line, playing down back in the backfield. Lastly, Justin Harrington, he was there last year. I think he's just a guy that Brent likes and trusts and now has a year in the system playing the position. Not a lot on Justin Harrington. Eric McCarty is a guy that I think might end up getting some snaps there, but he's likely a redshirt candidate this year. So, man, it's just a lot of really cool moving pieces and options and different pieces at play here that I think suggest a real emphasis on positional versatility and asking these guys to do a lot of things. And that's what Brent has always demanded of his players. And we now have the guys that can really shine answering that call. A lot of stuff on the cheetah, man, but it's an important position. And these are really good athletes that we have playing it.
Definitely an important position in the Venables defense. Speaking of defense, a couple of guys that Mark just mentioned, I wanted to talk about because they are transfers. They are coming in. And there was a great article, if you caught it, from the OU Daily. That is the student newspaper at the University of Oklahoma. And you may hear student newspaper and think, oh, I don't know about that. Those kids do really great work. Austin Curtright, sports editor at the OU Daily, does a great job. He wrote an article about the transfers coming in on the defensive side of the ball, some of them, and he mentioned Deshaun McCullough by name. And as a guy, like Mark said, who could be tailor-made for that cheetah position for Brent Venables, Deshaun McCullough specifically mentioned Isaiah Simmons as a guy he looked up to growing up because of how he played the cheetah position. So that, keep an eye out for that. Also, Rondell Bothroyd wants to dominate people. He watched film with Brent Venables on his visit. He didn't go take studio photos in the jersey, didn't, use the strobe lighting. He was in Brent's office. They were watching film, and he expects to get up to 280 pounds. He says he will either play edge or interior, whatever they want him to play. That's a dude who has experience and knows what it's about to be a program guy. Do whatever you need to do to help this team win. And then Reggie,
and watching film with Brent is so hot.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so amazing. I can't imagine, or I just imagine Rondell walking into Norman and they're like, hey, look at this cool throne. He goes, where's the clicker? And he just goes in Brent's office and he's just, breaking down schemes with the guy.
This is cool. Where's coach?
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. And then Reggie Pearson, another guy Mark just mentioned, figures to be a key cog in that secondary machine. So whether you see him at cheetah, whether you see him at safety, he's going to play, folks. He's going to get burned no matter where it is. He said he came to OU simply because he wanted to play for a program like Oklahoma and for a coach like Brent Venables. That's a dude who is here to play for the best. Look for him to have a great year. It's going to be exciting. That's all I got for myself. Any notes on that? Fantastic. Patrick, go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't going to go because I had an 8-minute video that I dropped about that day. So after listening to this podcast, you can go over and just get 8 minutes of my
you're
thoughts.
right. You did. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Correct. Go to our YouTube channel and watch that. Great job on that, Patrick. Sorry, I completely you wrote in the rundown about an 8-minute video. I was like, is he going to play an 8-minute video?
No, already have.
Yeah.
It's like, go ahead, just hit play right now.
Yeah.
Play.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, go
Reggie
ahead.
Pearson's going to be good, though.
He is.
Just real fast. I think he's going to be good somewhere. I don't know where that ends up, but somewhere.
I don't know where it is either, and I don't think Reggie knows right now either. I don't think he knows either.
Or Venables, even.
No.
Right?
No. Ryan?
Yeah, so I was more interested in some of the stories that came out of this, especially surrounding Peyton Bowen. Have you guys heard about the Oregon thing that happened? Okay, I'm going to explain this. So
no, of course not. I don't follow OU football.
None of us have actually heard that he was about to sign Oregon.
No,
this was a week ago. I missed it.
Have you heard the details around it?
Tell us.
So
I have not. I have not.
Okay, so apparently Peyton Bowen signed a national letter of intent to Oregon and sent it in. And he did not have an AM or a PM on the date of time, so it made it invalid.
That's the
meaning
part
that
I
he
didn't
could
know.
sign with OU the next day.
Wow.
I think that's wild.
That is
absolutely wild. A mess up on the way they put the time had basically got us Peyton Bowen, which is very strange.
Have you ever had to put a time on an official document?
Well, yeah. So I was reading this and it says prospects can't sign until 7 a.m. on signing day, making the timing of the signing critical if it was signed between noon and 6:59 p.m. By Bowen omitting an AM or a PM, invalidated his NLI, opening the door for his flip. This is an article by the Oklahoman.
Okay.
I also feel like if Oregon wanted to fight that, they could have, but why would you fight?
Yeah, at this point you
doesn't wanna-
can't.
I don't know.
Like,
I
yeah.
just find that fascinating.
Yeah.
It is.
That is like the story that he told. He said that. He was like, I should be there right now, is like what he said.
Crazy.
which is wild. But he was like, everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Like he immediately signed it and was like, I don't feel like I should go here. Like I feel better at OU. I just think like all the details that go into that, super, super fascinating. And then my other one was also around Peyton Bowen, and Jackson Arnold came out and was like, me and Bowen didn't know each other super well in high school, which they both came from Denton, Geyer, and that's a big school. So understandable, but you have the two arguably best players coming out of North Texas at the same school, and they didn't really know each other. So they're roommates now, and they're like, it's really good to get to know him like better and really like bond with him. And I'm like, this is strange. I was like, you guys weren't like buddy back in the day. You guys were like dominating. I mean,
the stories during recruiting made it seem like they were too.
I know,
but also like, they don't have to be.
No,
I know.
Different
sides of the ball.
I just like
they
the
go
way
to different camps. They're doing different stuff. When one's on the field, the other's not on the field. Like
how do you not know the best player on your team on the other side of the ball? Like how are you not close? You
know him, but like look, when I was the best player on the team on my side of the ball,
that's why I asked you.
I wasn't hanging out all the time with my guys Hector and Michael S. That
Who was Hector?
Patrick,
Yeah.
like they were
I was actually hanging out with Hector.
Yeah, I saw that. That's great. So you see him in the locker room,
okay,
the boys in a way, but you're not like, hey, let's hang out all the time and then go to school together. They just both happen to work out at OU, I think.
Yeah, I guess like because everyone thought when Bowen flipped, it was like, oh, Arnold was talking to him. He was like in his ear and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure if he actually was. Like it makes it seem like maybe he wasn't. Yeah, and like it was more just BV, just like not giving up, right? Like,
wait, did you not see this story? Did you miss this?
What?
How Peyton Bowen actually talked about this? Jackson Arnold had a whole story, like had a whole speech ready for him.
I did miss this.
And
give me more details.
That night, and Peyton Bowen had already signed. He had a picture of it. And Jackson starts going into this whole thing, and Peyton's like, "Bro, you don't have to do this. I'm booming. And
fascinating.
He didn't have to do it. Yeah.
Well, he like wrote something up. Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. He had a whole thing, and apparently he hadn't done it yet. He waited till Oregon
incredible. Yeah. Okay, that whole saga, just a fascinating development. So. Really glad we don't have to deal with that anymore. Really glad both these people were on our team. But some of those stories at a media day I thought were really, really interesting. And also considering we haven't gotten this in the past where we get to talk to these new fresh recruits who are coming in. It's really, really nice. So that's mine.
Love it. Let us know down below in the comments. Is there anything from OU Media Day, from the Newcomers Media Day, I guess we should say, that you found interesting, a storyline that you were following, something you like? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one of those comments. It would be fantastic. All right, boys, what do we got next? Where are we at? Are we circling the wagons with no Matt Gann? Is that what we're doing?
I think we are.
Okay, are you
doing it? He sent us
the
notes. We got to do it. We got to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it.
You're not doing it, Patrick?
No, you can do it.
Okay, why not? Here you go. Let me open these. I can't even see them. Okay, so let's let me get into character. So I'm just kidding. that's my terrible Matt Gann impression. All right, OU women's tennis. Let's start with them.
Couple things.
Yeah.
Couple things.
Oh,
I'm doing my Matt Gann.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. OU women's tennis, 6-5 record. They're going to play Arkansas, Missouri State, and Wichita State this weekend in Norman. Try to get some boots on the ground. Go out there, support that OU women's tennis team. OU men's baseball, 2-2. They lost 2 out of 3 against Cal Baptist. Not a great start to the season. They beat Army late, 8-6. look to improve to have a winning record against Abilene Christian. That's down in Arlington at Globe Life Field, the Rangers Stadium. In case you're wondering, maybe some boots on the ground for the boys down there as well. Go see Abilene Christian. I know for a fact
Ryan?
Scuba Duba is going to be there because he's always
100%.
Oh, he lives there.
Yeah, he lives
loves
there.
that place.
He's gonna
God.
die there one
King.
day. Okay, OU men's basketball. They had a close game against number 6 Texas, but came up short 85-83. Came back to play their worst game of the season. That's saying something. And losing to a very, very bad Texas Tech team, 74-63. They're a joke. They're just
Really
get
bad.
them, just get them out of here.
OU Twitter was so sad after that Tech game.
Dude, they refuse to shoot layups. They refuse. I don't understand. I don't get it. I've never seen a team so bad at shooting threes rely so heavily on them. They're just like, yeah, this is us. This is our game. It's really not. It's not your game at all. They play Iowa State this weekend. Anyone else on the OU men's basketball? Okay.
I hope we turn it
It's
around.
bad.
Stepped away
It's
from the
just,
team.
it's just bad.
We had 3 people talking at the same
Yeah,
time. What is
I'm
going
gonna
on?
go last.
Okay. Go ahead.
Cortez stepped away from the team for
Yeah.
personal reasons. All the best to him.
Yep.
We hope that he is okay and, comes back stronger than ever.
That's true. Ryan?
Everything is bad. It's
Yeah.
all bad.
It is.
We'll see.
is all bad.
We'll see what happens, I guess.
Patrick?
Give Porter another year. I'm going to stay optimistic.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, sure. I don't know who you get at this point. There's people throwing around the Shaka Smart name, but I don't know how you make a play for that. I guess money solves a lot of problems, but I don't know. OU men's tennis. They are 6-3. They lost to Texas A&M 5-2. Blue-gray championships coming up this weekend in Alabama for the OU men's tennis team. OU softball. Everybody loves them. They lost a game. Can you believe it? They beat Longwood 10-0.
You.
What'd you say, Pat?
I warned you guys.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. They beat Longwood 10-0. Stephen F. Austin, they beat them 22-0. Beat Army 9-0. And they lost to Baylor 4-3. So
Ryan, how do you feel about that?
Why did they freaking have to lose to Baylor?
I don't know,
Lord
man.
Almighty. I'm
I don't
already about to go
Asking you, man. Sick 'em tea.
0-2 in football because we're not going to play Baylor again.
Yeah.
And then they our best team. We lose to. This is
They play
making
Baylor and then
not
Big 12
great
championship
things
games.
Yeah.
in my personal life. So
Yeah.
I'm very upset about this. Patty could have lost. I would have taken a loss to anybody. Great teams lose on their way to championships, just not that team. So
they'll be okay.
All right, now give us a sick 'em real fast.
it's the end of
Give
my
us a-
rant. It's the end of my rant. No.
Sick 'em tea. That softball team is going to play Cal State Fullerton, Texas A&M, Utah, Loyola Marymount, and UCLA in Cathedral City, California this weekend. Pat, where's Cathedral City,
I
California?
think it's San Diego. The OU San Diego Facebook group is trying to get some people out there.
No, it was Palm Springs, wasn't it? They're trying to get a Palm
you're
Springs
right.
happy
Yes,
hour.
It is. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Palm Springs happy hour. You have to RSVP for that, apparently. So if you're out in Cali and you're listening, go
Boots on the ground,
pregame.
baby.
Pregame with Patty is what we're calling it. Women's basketball on top of the Big 12 fellas. They are ranked number 13 in the country. They beat Texas Tech 84-57. What a whooping. Beat Kansas 86-80. And they play number 19 Texas right now in Norman. It is 7:36 p.m. Central Time. Let's get a little bit of live scoring. What do you say? Let's find it. Let's find live scoring right now.
Wow.
Can I get it? Can I get it in time? I don't know. I'm going very slow and I'm stalling and I'm stalling and I'm going
Hey,
really
I'll stall
slow.
for you a little
Yeah,
bit. Hey,
go
before
ahead.
Jenny was the basketball coach for the ladies Sooners, I had a buddy that I actually lived with. You guys all know him. That helped with he was on the practice squad for the women's basketball team, and took a lot of pride from that.
Did
Was
he?
that it?
That was the story.
Yeah, that's the whole
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. He
Also-
often talked about that.
Also,
Yeah.
what the heck? Do we
Let us
not
know, man.
We need to fact check Matt Gann because they do not play tonight. They play on Saturday, February 25th at 1 p.m. in
Wow.
Norman.
Do we have
Ryan for
Do
a
we
year
have
now?
the opponent correct?
Yeah, he's got the opponent correct. He just doesn't have the
Okay.
date. Just doesn't have the date correct. No, Matthew, what are you doing? Okay. OU women's gym. OU women's gym.
Just looking for the
They-
score.
They improve.
Yeah,
to-
what happened to the score? Oh yeah, it's on.
They
It's
don't
on
play tonight.
Saturday.
Not playing.
It's on Saturday. Freaking Matt Gann,
That took
man.
me a second.
Let me. The game is on Saturday. Sorry, that was messed up. I'm sorry. All right,
Maybe
I'm going to
not
hell.
that.
I know.
Maybe.
I'm going to hell.
He's not gonna like it.
He won't like it. All right, I'll cut it out.
I'm like
Okay.
crying over here.
Okay. OU women's gym. They improved to 11-0. They beat Texas 198-195. Played West Virginia this weekend in Norman. Who knows if that's right? We'll find out. OU women's tennis. We already went over. So that is the Circling the Wackhead segment for this week. What a freaking mess that was. Good Lord. Who knows what's right and what's wrong? Thanks, Matt Gann, for all your hard work. Good Lord.
It's always a bit more smooth when just Gann does it himself.
Yeah,
you know?
we don't question him. And we just blindly follow him into the abyss. Just freaking
This is like 4 days late.
dude. What in the world? I love you, Matt.
Oh, man,
Okay.
that was amazing.
Ryan, give me something to watch.
I'm just
Don't make me do this segment.
no, I'm not gonna make you do this segment. Okay, so we're doing something a little differently today. And this might take a little while. Just you know, we're kind of vamping here. This is the off season. We're trying new things, right?
Yeah, why not?
And we mentioned this a couple weeks ago that we were going to do this. So, we were going to talk about The Last of Us, which is a TV show on HBO. I talked about it a few weeks ago. And if you have not watched it yet, you might not want to listen to the next like 20 minutes. But
Yeah, fast forward 20 minutes.
fast forward, we're going to be diving in deep into the first 3 episodes. So, the way that we're going to do this is I believe all the guys here have watched the first 3 episodes.
Patrick,
I finished the show.
It's not
okay, well, you
over.
haven't finished. Good Lord, Matt Gann. Get your
It's
facts right.
live.
It's not even
What do you
done.
mean? It's
I
seen
am caught
everything
up
that's
on
out.
all
You're caught up.
episodes.
You're
Okay,
caught
that's
up. Okay.
fine.
Sorry, I
Good.
thought it was like a release all in one kind of
No,
thing.
no,
I'm on episode 5. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Episode 6
Sweet.
just
No,
released.
but that's okay.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
fine.
Great start. Okay, we're doing episodes 1 through 3. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go episode by episode. I'm gonna give you the title. I'm gonna give you written by, directed by, and then we're gonna talk about the plot. And I am. What are all of you laughing at?
Nothing. Patrick just said he's going to be ridiculous during this segment.
Okay,
he
I'm
texted
ready.
us all.
So we're gonna,
fine.
I'm gonna give you the
It's
plot of the episode.
I was
And I'm-
ready for that.
I'm gonna give you the plot of the episode, and I'm gonna actually just read from like Wikipedia for those because we have to get through 3 of them. I gotta cut them through quickly, so that's what's gonna happen. And then I'm gonna go through how close to the source material. So the source material for the Last of Us is a video game. I don't think any of you guys have played it.
No, I
So-
want to, though. I want to.
So I'm gonna go through like how close the game is to the source material, and then I want to open up to you guys, and I want to know like what did y'all think? What did you like? What did you not like? Patrick can get a little ridiculous, and we can make this a little fun. And then I want to finish with an MVP actor or character per episode. So we're gonna move through these pretty quickly, but I
like the
want us
sound
to
of
have
that.
some fun here. It's gonna have a good time, and then we'll go through. I don't know what episodes next week, but we'll take maybe the next 3, and then we'll be caught up or close to caught up, and then we can finish out the show.
Love
so,
it.
all right, episode 1, titled "When You're Lost in the Darkness." This is written by Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann. Couple facts here. Craig Mazin is the man
I knew it.
who wrote, and he did not direct, but he wrote Chernobyl on HBO, another fantastic miniseries that you guys need to go watch if you haven't. And then Neil Druckmann is the executive creator and writer of the Last of Us video game. So he is very well tied into this production as well. This is directed by Craig Mazin, his first direction. So usually he's just a writer. He directed for the first time for this episode. Okay, so let's talk about plot for episode 1. Okay, again, I'm reading from the Wikipedia here, and then we'll talk about it. In 2003, a mass fungal infection of mutated cordyceps sparks a global pandemic. Joel flees with his daughter Sarah and brother Tommy from their Texas home, Austin, Texas home. And then at the end of that escape, Sarah is killed by a soldier. Flash forward 20 years later, Joel lives in a quarantine zone in Boston, which is managed by FEDRA, which is the Federal Disaster Response Agency, and he's working as a smuggler with his partner Tess. When Tommy, his brother, fails to contact them from Wyoming, they pay a local car dealer, his name's Robert, for a car battery, but he scams them and sells it to the Fireflies. The Fireflies are a rebel group opposing FEDRA. Attempting to retrieve it, Joel and Tess encounter Marlene, who is the Fireflies' leader, who begs them to take a teenager named Ellie to the Massachusetts State House in exchange for a working truck. While sneaking out of the QZ, the three run into a soldier on the outside. He tests them for the infection and reveals Ellie is positive for the infection. Joel kills the soldier and Ellie claims to be immune. And that's when that cuts to black at the end of the first episode. Okay, so how close is this to the game? This one, very, very, very close. Almost like beat for beat, hits all the notes that the game hits. In the game, you open up and you play as Sarah. You don't play as Joel. And then you flip. Once the event happens where Sarah dies, you flip to playing as Joel as the main character throughout the rest of the game. Very close. I will say one of the biggest differences is instead of a 20-year jump in the game, it's only 10 years. So I think they did that just specifically because they wanted it to be in 2003, like the flashback in 2003, for a lot of other reasons that we'll get into maybe in episode 3. But in the game, it's 2013 that the outbreak occurs, and then they flash forward 10 years.
Gotcha.
So, yes.
Could it not be as simple as it's now 2023 in real life and Pedro Pascal looks better with a little bit of silver?
I think that's probably it because they definitely aged up Joel. I think he's like 50 something in the show, and I think he was like 40 something in the game. So, anyway, they aged him up a little bit. So overall, very, very close. I will say one of the additions that I didn't talk about in the plot is the game opens with, or the show opens with a cold open. That's essentially back in like the 1950s of scientists talking about like what is the biggest risk to society from a like epidemic situation. And basically one person says like, yeah, bacterial epidemics can be like horrible, but usually we'll get through those. And then one of the scientists basically says, well, fungi is what we should be worried about because if our temperature, basically they can't infect humans right now because of the temperature, but if the earth starts to warm up, then they can, and then we're in really deep trouble. So that just kind of foreshadows what's going to happen during the game and in the TV show. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think? Did you like the pilot? Did you like the opening? How did it set up for the future for people who haven't played the game? How did you react to it?
So for someone who went into it not having played the game, not really knowing how all of it went down, I thought it was fantastic, and it was a great first episode to get you like hooked into this. I, number one, love Pedro Pascal, so him just being in it makes it that much better. But to start the way it did, and you know like something's going wrong, right? So it's just building suspense that whole first part of the episode, and then all of a sudden a nightmare scenario, and it was just I thought it was great. I loved it. And then when they get to present day, you still have another whole half of the episode to go.
It's a really long episode. So the first episode clocks
episode.
in at like an hour and 20 minutes.
I love when shows do that. Honestly, I think it's a good move.
I like it too.
Really?
I liked it.
I'm kind of surprised that Patrick likes that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did it very specifically because they wanted to give the time with like Sarah like breathing room to like actually make you like feel like you knew this character before they were like tragically ripped away. Because I think for people who haven't played the game, did you think Sarah was going to die in the first 30 minutes? Or did you think
she's not
like,
Bella Ramsey?
Well, Actually, that's true. That is how you would know those things.
I didn't see a damn poster at all with Sarah. Obviously,
that is very, very
she's
true.
not The Last of Us.
No,
Yeah.
she's not. No, she's not. So yeah, and like they had to give that time, and then it does take a little time in the game before you even meet Ellie, who Joel and Ellie are the two main characters of this show. They're on all the promo posters. Like all of that is very clear, but like it takes some time in the game to meet her. So they kind of had to spread out that first episode because it would have been weird if they had the first episode and you never met Ellie. Like I think that would have been strange. So
I'm dying to know what
glad-
Patrick thinks. I'm
I'm
dying
glad
to
they
know.
did it. I need to know what Pat thinks too.
Well, I just think it's stupid that they jumped 20 years because that's 20 years of missing plot. I also thought Sarah did a great job. I did not expect her to die. I think
There
it's
we go.
stupid that she died.
Okay.
There was no reason for her to die right away. Like they could have done a few episodes with Sarah and just like the initial few days.
Okay. So there's a lot of things that I can respond.
We're not going to go into.
Yeah,
No,
we can
yeah,
keep
we
moving.
don't.
We can
Yeah,
keep
we
moving.
need to. We
We're
need
not.
to.
We need
Let
to
me-
keep going.
Let me
Yeah,
get
we
my
need to keep
shit
going.
out, and
Yeah,
then we
you
can
go,
go
you
to
go, you
episode
go.
2 for another Pat Dick. And all right, so my two quick things. The episode 1, something that I thought it did really well was set the scene for the fact that they're going to be telling this story not just through the linear what are the characters doing, but kind of the things that are happening in the background as well. So one example of this is Sarah, the daughter, goes over to the next door neighbor's house because Joel offers her help with cooking or baking or something like that. And you don't see anything explicitly happen, but in the background, you can see like the inhabitants of the house start to sort of move in weird ways, right? And like they're not feeling good, they're not responding to things, but then their head kind of like jumps in a way that will become reminiscent of the infected later on when we understand what that is. So very cool thing. You come to see it really well later on as well in different just times, shots, whatever. 2, man, this game or this show is shot like a video game in a lot of ways. I'm thinking specifically the car scene at the very beginning of this game.
Mhm.
I've started The Last of Us, and so I've played that scene, but I set the game down, honestly, at some point. So I've played that scene, and later on it manifests itself in ways that like, oh, this door is blocked, so I need Ellie to go around and open it. You know, stuff like that, but very video game feel to some of the problem solving that the characters undergo throughout. And I just, it catches my eye as a video game player, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. The direction in this episode, fantastic. That scene you were talking about with the kind of the blurred camera in the back when like you know what's happening, you know what's going on, and the dog is freaking out, and it's like, okay, yeah, something's off here.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff. Okay, MVP actor or character for episode 1.
Sarah.
Okay.
Sarah.
Actor or character? Both.
Both for me.
Both.
Choose both.
Okay. Sarah.
Marlene, character. She gets
Ooh.
her shit done. No
Yeah.
one else gets their shit done, and Marlene does.
I'm gonna say Sarah as well. I think
Okay.
she made a huge impact in the short time that she was here. Okay, episode 2, Infected, written by Craig Mazin, directed by Neil Druckmann, also first-time director, also co-creator of this show and co-creator of the video game. Plot: 2 days before the worldwide outbreak in Jakarta, Indonesia, this is a flashback. The government shows an infected corpse to a mycologist, who's a studier of fungi, who tells them that there's no cure or vaccine and advises bombing the city to prevent a further outbreak. In the present, Ellie explains to Joel and Tess that she's being transported west in hopes of being used to find a cure. Discovering that the path to the state house is swarmed with infected, they cut through a history museum where they are attacked by blind infected known as clickers, and Ellie is bitten. They arrive at the state house but find the fireflies dead. Tess reveals she was bitten while Ellie bites. Ellie's bite begins to heal, proving her immunity. Joel shoots an infected, which alerts the swarm to their location. Tess convinces him to escape and to take Ellie and their out to their allies in Lincoln, Massachusetts, while she stays behind, blowing up the building and killing herself along with the horde of infected that come in. And that's where it cuts. Okay. Real quick here, how close to the game source material? One big change. The game does not have, in this episode, we learned that the infected can communicate through fungi channels. And that is not in the game at all. So I think it's a really, really smart way to bring that element into the show. In the game, they just have the infection can spread through like spores in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be really hard to show like on TV and through that medium. So I think it was very, very smart to do a different approach and say this can, they can talk to each other essentially and communicate with each other that way. Another small tiny
it's a
thing.
hive mind that's cooling kind of built in.
Yeah. That is not in the game. And then another change is Tess dies by humans in the game by Fedra, but she is not killed by the infected. So and she doesn't blow up the place. So that's a change. Okay. What do you think of episode 2? Mason, you want to go?
I'm just going to go ahead and give you my MVP's Tess, number 1. So that's just my MVP. I did like that episode. I just feel like it was kind of a build episode to what was to come. I mean, it obviously ended with a bang, pun intended, but it felt like it was getting you somewhere. It felt like it was just pushing you along. Because I feel like after that first episode, I was so hyped, and then I got to the second episode, and I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I'm ready for next week. But yeah.
I was feeling the same way. I think it's just dumb that characters come into the show and then just die off so quickly. And I think that'll be challenging for them because this is a video game where people are just dying around you, but the two main characters are continuing on. So I think that's just going to be tough for the viewer at some point, or could be.
Is the viewer you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the main
I
audience.
really enjoyed this episode. I watched it around the same time. If you're an app program guy, Mark, Twitter follower, you know that I was doing a Game of Thrones rewatch for a while there. And I watched it around the same time as the Battle of Winterfell episode, and the scenes with the infected, with the clickers, reminded me so much of when Arya is in the library during that battle, and she has to sort of sneak her way through. And there's some really good horror movie elements to both of those things. And, it's the first time we really see infected going at it. And they're terrifying. You see it sort of through Ellie's eyes and through Joel's eyes, and they do a good job of saying, the horror, and then but you got to deal with that Joel then takes on. I thought it was really well done. And then obviously Tess, man, just when she says, I never asked you to feel the way I did, the acting behind the line, the power, the emotion, all of that stuff right before she makes the ultimate sacrifice play, the Tony Stark, very good stuff, man. Really, really, they know what they're doing with these characters. And Ryan, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Tess doesn't last that long in the game either, right? So you almost can't build the kind of emotional connection to her that, at least personally, I built to Tess in a 2-episode run.
Yeah, and I mean, if you really think about it, it's an episode and a half. Like, she really wasn't in the first half of the first episode. And I think, like, again, I think the directing in this episode was fantastic. The storytelling, the changes to the game, I think were really smart. And then, like, we can get into MVPs right now, but it's Anna Torv who plays Tess. So fantastic of an actress. When they said she was playing Tess, I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna like expand her story in some capacity or give her something to chew on because she's that good. And like, so she was in, for people who don't know who she was in Fringe, she was in Mindhunter. Just really, really good.
That's how I know her.
Yeah. Mindhunter. Yes, she's great. So anyway, I knew they were going to give her a part, a little something to chew on. And I think that like last scene, even how gross the infected kiss thing was at the end, but her just like sacrificing herself for that and saying like, you can actually see where she makes the twist of like, I believe this now. Like, I believe she's immune. I believe like we can get like to point C and actually find a cure. And it's really nice
We've all
to see
seen
her
worse than
also.
that kiss in Logies. I just
Yeah.
wanted to get that in.
Yeah.
All
And I-
been there.
And I think it's also it's interesting to see like the effect that it has on Joel too. And like this is the person that he really, really cared about, and he lost another person that he really, really cared about after his daughter. And it was different this time, but it still affected him in the same way, and you can see that. And I think Pedro Pascal does a really good job in that final scene of just
And you
like
really
moving
see
things along,
it, and you really see it in episode 3,
which we're
speaking of
getting
moving things
into
along.
right now. Long time. Written by Craig Mazin, again, directed by Peter Orr. Let's get into this plot real quick. Joel and Ellie begin to hike to meet with Bill and Frank, who are Tessa's contacts. Ellie sees evidence of the government's execution of innocents during the early days of the pandemic, which flips us back to 2007, where Frank leaves, and essentially we sit with Bill, who is a kind of more of like a right conservative bunker survivor or an apocalypse planner, survivalist,
As he would say.
and so we basically spend some time with Bill, and then Frank comes along, who reluctantly like Bill takes in. So Bill's alone for like 5 years, and a stranger comes along named Frank, reluctantly takes him in, and we find out that Bill is gay, and the men, Bill and Frank, begin like this romance where they really are going through this and just like building off of each other and trying to survive like this horrible like thing that's happening. You really just see the connection between these two. Years later, Frank contacts Tess by radio, and the two groups enter like a tenuous friendship. So that's essentially in episodes 1 and 2. I think it was specifically like at the end of 1, we hear about kind of Tess and Joel having this connection over the radio with Bill and Frank, and it kind of fills in the gaps there. In the present, so as we flip forward to 2022, we find out that Frank is actually terminally ill and asks Bill to basically assist his suicide or give him sleeping pills so he doesn't have to deal with pain anymore. But before this, Bill and Frank get married, which is very touching because in 2003, when kind of the outbreak began, Massachusetts, or America in general, had not passed a gay marriage law to allow that. So Bill, essentially not wanting to live without Frank, kills himself as well. So it's like a double suicide. When Joel and Ellie arrive to that compound, they discover a letter that Bill left for Joel. And Bill wrote that protecting Frank gave his life meaning, and that he has left Joel his supplies that he can take and go. They take Bill's truck and they head off to find Tommy in Wyoming. And that's where the episode ends. Okay, how does this differ from the game? Everything is different. This is not in the game at all. Nothing of this is in the game. You meet Bill in the game and you go along with him for a while and you find Frank's dead body, and there's basically a letter, and you can kind of make the connection that they were in a relationship. But other than that, that's it. Like you leave the place and you leave Bill by himself. He's still alive. You don't see him again. So all of
Well,
this
I'm going to interject because like the letter itself is pretty scathing. It's Frank telling Bill like,
Yes.
"Hey, I never loved you. I
Yeah,
hated you. I
pretty
grew
terrible.
very, very tired of you." And by the time that I just know this story a little bit, by the time that you meet Bill, he's very jaded. He's very sort of broken by the
100%.
world. So it's easy to see this episode's story go a different direction and end up in the place that the game does.
Mhm.
And I really like the change.
Yeah, the change is
Yeah.
great. So Mason, want to start?
Yeah, I love the episode in general. I thought I really liked to track their relationship from beginning to end, and you make certain stops at certain points in their lives and relationships, and you see how they lived and how Bill was protecting Frank and what they went through. Like at one point, Bill gets shot and he's on a table, and you're like, I haven't played the game, and obviously you just said it's not in the game, but like I don't know what's happening. I'm like, oh, he's dead. And then, they fast forward 10 more years or whatever it is. And there they are. And Frank's actually the one who's dying while Bill's taking care of him. It's great. It's great. And Nick Offerman to go from cold and rude at times, Ron Swanson, to just this loving and caring, like devoted husband, like till the end. That's a great acting performance. It just really is. There's no other way to say it.
And be kind of the same guy.
Yeah.
At the same time, right? Yeah. If Ron Swanson was gay, he's Bill from The Last of Us.
Yeah. Patrick.
100%.
The acting was incredible. Very good acting. But if you really think about it, that episode also didn't matter.
It's a bottle episode.
It is a bottle episode.
It's a bottle episode.
They got a truck. That's what happened.
It does matter though, because here, and I don't want to get off. We've already talked about this for way too long, but the show is not about infected. The show is not about a virus. It is like that's what's going on, but the show is really about people and how people connect with each other through like very traumatic circumstances. And I feel like that was like very beautifully shown through this episode of how two people, even in this horrible environment, can still find each other and can still have like a happy life. So
Pat, I'll tell you how exactly it ties to the rest of the show. Okay. the line that Bill leaves in his note to Joel and Ellie is something along the lines of, I found him and I protected him and he became my purpose. That became my purpose. And it unlocked something for Bill, right? Joel lost Sarah and as a person has become stagnant since then. There's a line from Ryan's favorite show in all time, Station 11, that says survival. Yeah, you did. You did. Program Guys Classic, right?
Yeah.
Survival is not sufficient. And in that show, they take it in these really artsy ways that are fine, but the conclusion is not very satisfying. And in this one, what they're saying, that the way you should take it is that like the bond that Bill got with Frank was something he never had before the world changed, right? And it became his purpose. Having that became his purpose. When Joel lost Sarah, he didn't allow himself to find a new purpose. He had Tess, but you can see from their interactions, you can see from her asking him, hey, I never felt the way you did, or you never felt the way I did, whatever it was, right? He hasn't let anything else back in. He's gonna let Ellie in, and we know that, right? We just know that. And because we saw this episode thematically, it's gonna hit a lot harder for you, baby. We didn't go hard enough on the fact that Joel and Tess met with Bill and Frank, and Bill and Joel had a full-on conversation about their person. As Joel puts it, he like pauses and stutters through it, and he's just not comfortable with that person being his purpose, and he's gonna find it with Ellie, partially because he sees it here. There you go, Pat.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rebuttal. I'll save it for next week because it'll be similar.
Love it. Hopefully it goes faster next week.
I have seen that one. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Okay, I got two things here. This is the best episode of TV that I've seen this year. Incredible stuff. MVP, really quick. You guys have already said it. Nick Offerman, beautiful performance. Almost made me tear up. Almost cried. Got very close. And it was beautiful. The whole thing was beautiful. It was beautifully done, beautifully directed, beautifully written. A+, 100 out of 100. All right, that's it. We'll do 2 episodes next week.
We all have MVPs, right? My MVP is not Offerman. It's not Murray Bartlett. It is whoever designed the kitchen in the first dinner scene and then the last dinner scene between Bill and Frank. Because that, and like seeing the flowers alive and then dead, that's the perfect example of they're telling a story, not just with the characters in the foreground, but with everything happening around them. Really good stuff.
Production design.
Set design.
A+.
Yes, set
A+.
design.
All right, Mason, take us away.
All right. PGP MVP time. We'll wrap the show up with this. Patrick, I'll start with you. You got MVP of the week.
Yeah, English Premier League soccer teams, they're not doing hot in the Champions League. I love to see it. They're my loser MVP of the week.
You're so rude. Mark?
Yeah, I've got another loser MVP of the week. So I finally gave in and bought the newest Madden game a couple weeks ago. And my LVP really is me because I did it. But EA Sports, man, all I want to do is play a nice single player franchise mode. And that mode has been the same every single game since like 2012. They've made it worse. Scouting is worse. I can't play with my playbooks. I can't really, it's just very frustrating. And you can tell they put all their money into these microtransaction bullshit. And Ultimate Team. What is Ultimate Team?
No idea.
Why are trading cards in my Madden? I am so sick and tired of it. It all goes back to this anti-competitive exclusive rights agreement that EA Sports has with the NFL. Let 2K Sports make football games. I promise you they're going to be better. We're all going to be disappointed by NCAA football if it's the same team that's doing that. We just are. It's not good enough. We need something better. LVP, EA Sports. One's down.
One's down. Ryan?
Yeah, this is gonna be quick. Craig Mazin, creator of Last of Us and directed the first episode. I think it's just a fantastic TV show, and I'm very excited to see what he does after that.
Mine is Penn Badgley. I just finished episode 4 of You. Fantastic.
Don't spoil.
I'm not going to spoil it, but Penn Badgley is just such a great actor. The format of that show is amazing. The monologue or the inner thoughts interwoven throughout the dialogue is amazing. I really, really love it. It's really great. So watch it if you can. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Program Guys podcast. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, trying to hit 1,500 subscribers. You can follow us on Twitter at Program Guys with a Z, our Instagram Program Guys with a Z, our Facebook page Program Guys Podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, that's where you can find us on Apple's Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of that good stuff. We will see you next week with a brand new episode for the people. Until then, take care of yourselves. Patrick, thanks.
Keep listening, baby.